What's up, people? Punch here. So the new update came out August 15th, 2024. Crytek added the new map, the Scorched Earth event, and some new weapons and variants. But they also changed the main menu, as well as the menu when it comes down to pressing escape while in-game. And I'm going to talk about why it sucks ass. Truly sucks ass. And they did come out with a dev diary as of this recording, trying to explain and tell people that they're all stupid and they don't know what the hell they're talking about, and the new UI update was actually really good. Let me tell you that they're wrong and they're dumb for this. So when we get into the actual main menu, there's 5 small boxes, and it kind of reminds me of like the old Battle Royale games like Proximo Royale, Island of Nine. Then you had PUBG and H1Z1 before they were lost, Cuisine Royale and some other ones. And it just looks a lot like Battle Royales that I played in the past that no one really touches anymore. Then you also have this weird kind of UI when it comes down to the inventory of your hunter. When you click on a weapon, you normally would go and click on a weapon, then another weapon, and then all your tools, and then custom loadouts and everything. This is individually going in, grabbing a primary, then you get kicked out into the main menu again with the hunter. You go back in, get a secondary, kicks you right back out. Do it one tool, come back, one tool. You see how monotonous that can be? It's not just go in there, do your loadout, get to your hunter, and then go to the lobby and make a match happen with a trio team or solo, but individually try every single game to load out your hunter. If you do not have custom loadouts, you're screwed. You're going to be constantly doing that forever. So custom loadouts are a must now. And then you have like this weird story, Blood Bond packs. You have the store page, which is, whatever, their microtransaction thing. Then you have the Bloodlines, the Dark Tribute, the progressions, the weekly challenges. Above that, you have play, and then here you have the different inventory. Every hunter is different. They have this weird kind of tier system. So they have like orange and blue that are like legendaries or mythics. It's just a different shade of color for the skin, not so much for the weapon tier itself, like 1, 2, or 3 from compact, medium, or long. You have these free hunters that are all free. Then you have these other hunters that are legendary that you can get for like 100 or 300, and they have their different skill traits that you can choose from. But this is the new UI too. If you go and click on custom, there are some custom loadouts that do not work. The game is basically going back to the earlier days of early access and 1.0 when Trios was a thing where everything would essentially break. I'm seeing screen tearing now. I'm having issues with my mouse popping up in mid-game where you have your mouse on screen when you're running around. You have people desyncing. You have people disconnecting and not being able to reconnect again. A lot of the bugs that were flushed out in the previous Hunt Showdown before they changed the title and, added the new map. It feels like they CSGO 2'd and Overwatch 2'd the shit out of this. The reason why I say that is because that's what it feels like. It feels like it was a dumbed down. When it comes down to the upgrade itself, like the Crytek engine upgrade, it doesn't feel like an upgrade at all either. A lot of the things you have to play are in low settings because you play medium or high. You'll start having issues with crashing, blue screen. I had 2 blue screens that happened when I tried putting on a high and ultra settings. Don't do that. Medium is even kind of an issue as well. But I wanted to show off the bullet drop here, as you see here in a couple seconds. I'm going to aim a little bit high on the crosshair, and when I shoot, that's a headshot. It's pretty significant depending upon the range. I think the farther you go, the longer it drops. They were talking about the different ways of how the curve, quote-unquote, kind of works, but just showing it off is a lot easier than talking about it because Crytek's pretty notorious when it comes down to being vague as shit. So when you're trying to aim at somebody that's running full sprint or they're standing still, highly recommend that if you're going to shoot at longer ranges at 250, 300, that you should be aiming up on the crosshair and not really like aiming directly on the crosshair like you normally would, because that bullet drop is pretty significant depending upon the range. Now, the closer they get, the more it's tighter or closer to the crosshair, and you're not having to worry so much about the meterage. As you see on the bottom every time I go into scope mode, there's a small number that says 135 meters. That's the drop-off point when it comes down to using that Mosin sniper before you have to elevate and go for higher distances. The other ones were like 145, 150, and that was the highest they had. They used to have range. Now they changed that and called it drop-off rate. So if you ever look down and you're looking at your different weapons and how far the muzzle velocity goes or the damage or whatever, instead of range, it will say bullet drop. So keep that in mind when you're looking at your sniper rifles, or if you're a bushwookie camper with a Smurf account and you're sitting there for 35 minutes and you're shooting somebody and you're never getting hits off. It means you suck and you don't know how bullet drop works. So keep that in mind when you're watching my videos, that it's going to help you, because I know for a fact that most of the people that camp in this game don't do anything besides play Hearthstone while they're sitting in a bush waiting for something to hear, like cracking of a branch or a bush moving, and then they go and shoot that person, extract, and do it all over again. So it is what it is. But then again, when it comes down to the new map, that's essentially what they did. They tried to curve the meta, quote unquote, but all they did was just hyper speed it into oblivion. Right now, that whole entire new map, Mammon's Gulch, is essentially Lost in Delta without trees. And there are some patches of trees you can see on the map, as I'm going to show off later, but there's not a whole lot of them. And there are small, like, pathways or even, like, openings that you can see the whole map from miles. They're talking about the map being 1 kilometer in the entire radius. So if it's going to be that big, and I mean, you have small caves, big caves, you have the mouth of the Scorched Earth event, it's a lot of stuff in there. And there's a lot of different new places to go to. You have different buildings, you have different cave systems, you have mine shafts, you even have like these underground facilities. It's a lot of places to go and hide and do stuff. And not necessarily everything is going to be like above ground and you can shoot stuff as a sniper. As a shotgunner, even though they buff shotguns, you'll be sitting there trapping stuff, waiting for somebody, kill a whole trio team of the Crown and King, and then you're out. I mean, there's a lot of places to hide. Again, when it comes down to the UI, when you go into the actual menu in the game, it shows the communications, it shows your team, the loadouts that they have, the stars that they would normally have above their heads, like 1, 2, or 3. Communications doesn't work as far as I'm aware. Every time I go and use it for teammates, like mute them or something, it doesn't work. Getting into Mammon's Gulch, I'm going to show you guys off, like while I run around with my little sniper rifle. I don't ever use it because I don't really see anybody, but I wanted to show off as much as I could with the game and the map itself, but not everything. Because, again, the map is open to everybody. You can go on there and play the game right now. It's a free update. It's not a DLC. And it's huge. You have a lot of these different areas. You even have cows in the game now instead of the dead horses that would have the saddlebags and they'd make their sound. Cows are also really loud and they're long too. When they move forever. They just keep doing it. And you have to hit them twice in order to kill them. Then you have like these other areas like the rock face, the mountainsides. You even have the Scorched Earth, which is essentially this big cave with flames everywhere. They even have red barrel traps you can place. And you can get cash registers. They actually have a box called the weapons box where you can get one random weapon. It could be a rifle, scoped rifle, special gun like a Dolch. I don't know if you can get a Dolch, actually, to be honest. The only things I've ever seen in my boxes were a scope sniper rifle, a Mosin Nagant, a Nitro, and then they had a shotgun, the Terminus. And that's pretty much all I've seen from those boxes. Then you have, of course, the cash register that has the different money from $250 up to $1,000. You have these like contract kind of paper that will give you Bite Shot, Antidote, Regen Shot, and Stamina Shot for 5 minutes. And they still have the weird clue on the ground that way if you activate it with that one pledge point, you could see where the bounty is and get 30 points from the events too. So when it comes down to the new stuff that they added into the game, if I didn't talk about it earlier, they added a 1865 carbine, which is a medium ammo rifle that you can't use levering for, even though they say it's a lever action rifle. Then they have the Infantry 73L, which is a compact rifle. They have a sniper variant of that has 18 rounds of compact ammunition, 3 more than the 1873 for the Winfield and the Swift. And then they also added a Deadeye crossbow, where they added a new bolt called the Steel Bolt that goes farther and faster. I don't know how far the range is, and with bullet drop, I don't know exactly the drop-off range for that either. But the scope on the Deadeye crossbow is pretty significant, and I do show it off later in the video. They also added 3 bear traps. You get a tool called bear traps that's 3 of them, and they're the color black. You could place them all in the area, but you can't pick them back up like you would some of the other tools like stalker beetles and the spear. The main takeaway from this update essentially was the map. Everything else after that was just a second feature, and then they talk about the CryEngine upgrade. I wouldn't call it an upgrade because everything is back to the way it was during the 1.0 days, if not early access days of Hunt, where everything looked like Play-Doh or everything kind of ran like shit. I'm still getting screen tearing, and every time I click on a door, it turns purple like the textures aren't loading. Other times I have like enemies that will despawn or weapons will despawn, and I can't pick them up, kind of like how it was in the earlier access days of Hunt. So when they're going back and they're talking about an upgrade, all they really did was change the title, like they did for CSGO 2 and Overwatch 2, and then got rid of everything that was good about their game, making it kind of shittier. The other thing is that they changed the sight for the silencers, Sparks and Winfield. The ladder sight is not in the center anymore. It's all the way on the top, so I like that quite a bit. Now, I wanted to show off the new stuff that they added inside the update. For example, the Deadeye crossbow, the 1865 carbine, and the bear traps. You can go into the shooting range and actually try them out without having to unlock them. But the reload on that 1865 carbine is very fast. Taking out the rod and putting in the ammunition, kind of like the Krag, but instead of the top of the gun, it's in the back of it. This thing also cannot lever. So if you have levering, you can't do that. So just be aware that if you get the levering trait and you're trying to figure out why this isn't working, that is why, because Crytek made it so. They didn't say specifically that it does work, so I mean, if you were going to try it out in the shooting range, better to know now than trying to do it inside of a game. Levering somebody doesn't work, and then you die to some headshot from a sniper or some Dolch wheeler somewhere inside of a bush. I wanted to show off the Infantry 73L sniper variant because this is 18 rounds. And the thing with the drop-off range for this is that it said it was 150 for drop-off and then 145 for long range. I'm not sure if that's true or if that's a bug that Crytek doesn't know about, but I remember also when there was different meterage for the different rifles that it wasn't always accurate. Same thing with the Sparks pistol. It said 150 meters even though it was way less than that. You could also lever the thing too, so you have 18 rounds of firing like a machine gun. This is the new bear trap. You have 3 of them. You could place them down, you can melee with it, but once you do, you can't pick them back up again. And this is what it looks like when you have it inside your tools. You can carry them around with you as soon as you start the match, and if you want to put more bear traps around, if you don't have enough red ones, that's there. This is the Deadeye crossbow. They have steel bolts that go farther and a little bit faster, and hopefully does a little bit more damage. I'm using just standard bolt. An explosive bolt with it's pretty fun too, trying to go for elevated shots and shooting people from down range. But that's mainly what I've seen so far when it comes on this update, and I've been One Nut Punch, and this has been Hunt Showdown. Like I said before, this will probably be my final video. I personally don't like the update that much, with the silver lining being the new map that was essentially created after like 3 years, so who knows if another 2.5 years goes off, and then they decide to make another map after that. It won't last very long because a lot of people are going to camp the thing. You're not going to see very many fights. It's pretty damn big, and there's a lot of places to hide besides some creases and crevices. But that's all I got for everybody here. Thanks for watching like usual, and I'll see everybody in the next one.